You're listening to Back in the Day, Nostalgic 90s.
Stitch and Dean mic'd up in their podcast rooms, giving you an extra bonus, unlive, recorded, pre-recorded live. Don't need any money for it. On the house for free. Please enjoy. Dean, you enjoy freebies, don't you?
Yes, I do enjoy freebies. I do enjoy them whenever I can get my hands on them, actually. But yes, here we are. Hello, listeners, and welcome to another bonus episode of Back in the Day Nostalgic 90s, the podcast that leaves the big questions unanswered. Questions such as, why did any insurance company ever agree to cover us? Yes, I'm joined by Stitch, albeit 6,000 miles away. Stitch once phoned his insurer so often they started answering with the words, "What have you done now?" So today we're talking crashes, accidents, and the sort of mechanical catastrophes that only happen when you're young, skint, and convinced you're invincible. These are the stories that shaped us, not in a wise philosophical way, but in a never buy a car off a bloke called Kev kind of a way. So settle in, because we're about to take you on a journey through crumpled panels, questionable decisions, and the kind of driving that would make modern dashcams weep. On with the show, Stitch.
I'm wondering whether the listeners will guess wrong who the hooligan was. Maybe if you've listened, because this is a bonus show, and you should have listened to 7, 8, and 9 by now. Many people from their persona might have guessed that Dean is the hooligan. But if you listen to School Days, he's probably the angel of the two. Now, out of us two, he had a, what was it, XR3 Escort something?
Yeah, Ford Escort XR3.
So he looks like the guy who's going to be going around smashing and bashing. But after this show, I think the tables will be turning in your mind. I can remember, Dean, on outings in the car, apart from taking your clip-off stereo, another thing that was always in the car was a hammer and a can of petrol in the boot. Not a can, full can, but an empty can, just in case you ran out of petrol. Did you have anything that you always had in your motor, just in case? Hammer wasn't for road rage. Hammer was for hitting cam belts and starter motors to get them to work again. Clarification.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the crowbar was for road rage.
Yeah.
I used to carry a hammer quite often as well, because the old starter motor. I used to drive loads of French cars throughout my driving career, and so always having starter motor trouble. So a good old hammer, or
good old
some other
hammer.
large object. Yeah, that's right. Give it a good old whack.
Talking about road rage, I'm glad we do this show. Road rage. Me and my mate Ben, who used to live in London, Teddington, posh area, along the Uxbridge Road, we used to do races down there. I've forgotten what he was driving. And we used to do pretend road rage. So I was like beeping and da-da-da-da. And he would get out of the car and come up to the window and like start audicating, but not anything bad. But on passers-by would think, oh, blinking out, there's going to be a punch-up or a smashed window. So he did that once. And then the second time he did it, he pulled out one of those polystyrene sort of base bats you play with children. He pulled one of them out and came up and was threatening to me, and he was like people in neighbouring cars getting ready to call the cops. Youth, mate.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
You could have some great fun with that, couldn't you? Yeah, you could get one of these big inflatable hammers, couldn't you? Start bashing someone's windscreen with it.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
But you had to be careful. I remember another situation where I was with my roommate, housemate, Shane, spraying anus, we used to call him. And He ate lots of rubbish food. He was in the passenger seat, and you know when you get make eye contact with someone, and if you're displeased with them, it's best to sort of look in another direction and tell them a piece of your mind. But my roommate looked at the guy who had road raged him and said something like, "Yeah, you getting out?" or something like that. And the bloke got out and wanted some, and just as well, the new mod cons on my car was automatic locking system. I think I was driving a Citroen of some sort, and I just knelt on my lock and it locked his door, but the bloke wanted to come in and give him a piece of his mind. So there you go, road rage. It's not in the script, but Dean just mentioned it, and we've got lots of accounts to tell you. Can you
road rage
accidents, Dean? I've bigged up that you haven't had any. Is that right?
Wow. I didn't have any in the 90s. Well, I did, but I didn't have an accident ever in the 90s that was caused by me.
So he tells his lawyers and insurance company.
Yes, that's what I told Mum.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I went to an event at Cardiff Arms Park in the I'm not sure whether it's 1990, maybe 1989. So we're stretching the boundaries a bit
Yeah, it's
again.
a little bit
But
of
yeah, that's right. But on the way back, we got to not far from home, Norton St Philip,
right.
and but traffic wasn't going overly quickly. But just as we were coming out of Norton St Philip, a car was overtaking on the opposite side of a road coming towards me, and I I went up onto the grassy verge and yeah, took it in the side, so it wasn't horrendous. And the bloke never even stopped. Anyway, I on the Trayton estate where I worked, there was a guy, Beckington Panel Beaters. I think I bet he's probably he'd be really elderly now, or maybe he's passed on. But he banged it out and sprayed it up for 70 quid. So almost no harm done. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't perfect colour match, but got the job done. Bit of filler. Nice.
My first one was the Volvo. So that was quite a surprise because I was waiting at the traffic lights. We have discussed it before, though. The other one that I've got written down here was a Cavalier, and the guy was called Alan, I think. I've written his name down here, but I can't say the one I've written down. Alan was driving, and it was out towards, was it Sutton Veny or somewhere? Market Lavington. I've forgotten where it was, but there was like a double bend. And it was always nice to try and take it at a good tilt, but you'd have to know the limits of the speed in, because it was quite tight. And I was going out there, and he'd just passed his test, and I said to him, "You'd have to sort of keep it under 50 for this corner." And he went, "Yeah," and did over 50, and we ended up in a ditch. Yeah, he didn't make it. He didn't make it as well as he did, but we lived to tell the tale, and we climbed out. We've got some pictures. We'll put them up on our Instagram page. And that was when mobile phones had just come into existence. And but my battery, because the batteries didn't last very long, the battery was quite low. And I said, who should I phone up first, Mum or Dad or the AA? And I phoned up Mum and Dad, which we always did when you were young, don't you? You always tell Mum and Dad first. But I should have told the AA first, because they could have come and actually pulled me out. Because then when Mum and Dad arrived, then we phoned the AA. AA couldn't do anything, and they got a boy in the field next door to us to pull it out with a tractor. But we couldn't drive it home, funnily enough.
Which car was that?
It was an Astra, but it wasn't mine. He was driving it.
All right.
Driving it. Yeah. Amazing.
Ditched it. Yeah, I do remember. That's where I remembered incorrectly. I thought it was one of your cars that ended up in a ditch.
Yeah, no, that was him.
You never. No.
Yeah, so that was against. Yeah, he was a bit more impetuous than I was. So I sort of knew my limits. The scary one, which we won't talk about, was my yellow Astra, which on the way to a holiday in Wales, I put it on its roof. but we lived to tell the tale. The other ones, I got one bashed up the rear. This was an interesting one. I was either parked, I can't remember where I was parked, and I think I was in Twickenham High Street. I was either parked or waiting at some traffic lights. And I felt, when you feel a little nudge and you think, I don't know what that was. Someone walked past me on the pavement and said, that lorry's just done you up the rear. And I thought, oh, okay. And I was quite cool about it. I didn't get mad. This is my black Cavalier. I got out the car and then just got into the passenger seat of the lorry. I didn't know whether he had a hammer in there or a hatchet or anything. And you never know with lorry drivers. So I just got into the passenger seat and I said, hello, mate, you've just hit my car. That's my car down there. I have your insurance details, please. And he just wrote them out to me. And then I got back in the car and we all drove off happy. And I think it was a write-off. And write-offs in those days, correct me if I'm wrong, you could write them off and then still drive them.
I think so, yeah. Because one of my, I had an old Renault 14, and that was a write-off. Well, in terms, I didn't crash it, but it had been scrapped. I'd scrapped it, and then I saw it a couple of weeks later outside my sister's flat when I went to visit her.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so I never really got to the bottom of what happened there. But yeah, I think you could still drive them.
They paid you the insurance. They paid you the price of the insurance of it being written off, but it didn't say you couldn't drive them. I think they probably are written off now in the real world, but back then you got the money and you kept the car, and if it wasn't too like anti-MOT passability, then you could still use it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the commenters will correct us if we're wrong.
They certainly will. Yeah.
That's what we think.
Astra. So I've done the Astra. What was the other one that got hit or nicked? Oh, nicked.
Yeah.
Nicked. We spoke a lot about red cars last time, yeah, Dean. And red cars were all the rage. This is not being smashed. I can't remember how I sold all my cars. Actually, I had 3. I think I only sold 1. All the rest were written off or yeah, never mind. That's for another show. This car was the Astra, which I liked, which I bought off a bloke in Westbury. Red, always getting pulled over by the police. More on that after the advert. And I went to Salisbury. Went to see my mates in Salisbury. Parked outside their house. And we went to go get a video in Blockbuster. That's a show coming out. And when I came back, I walked past the place where my car was, and it wasn't. It was like an open space. And you know when you sort of take a second glance, you think, no, I'm sure I parked it here. So then you've got to do the whole road, haven't you? You know you've parked it there. You know it's not there, but you've got to do up the road and back on the left-hand side just to double check, and it wasn't there. So then we went into the house, phoned the cops, and I stayed up pretty much all night. The cops came round, and I stayed up pretty much all night waiting for my car to return. And they went and found a notorious estate in Salisbury, other nice estates also available, and they found my car. It wasn't burnt out. It wasn't... no one had relieved themselves in it, and then they returned it back with the door lock and the steering lock bust. But I could just about get it home. Didn't know that one, did you? Did you know that one?
I did not know. I didn't know that story. No.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Without a car,
I never experienced that. I never had a car stolen.
No.
Or written off. Yeah.
No.
I thought I've had plenty of experiences, and especially as I age, plenty of experiences where I forget where I've parked the car, and then I go back and think I parked the car there, and but I didn't. I think it's nicked, but it's just I'd forgotten where I parked it. But, never an actual theft.
No, that is the thing where it's not your fault or it is your fault, you can actually come to terms with it. But when it's out of your hands and it's not there and you don't know whether it's ever coming back. But the good thing is, because I only ever spent 200 quid on them, or 500 quid at tops, then it wasn't that much of a hole. But it was just the difficulty of how am I getting back home, because transport connections in the UK are not the most favourable.
No, they are not.
Anyway, we will do more about being smashed, nicked, stopped, or nicked after this advert. Fed up with white nappies, always changing and disposing of them and boiling them? Look no further. Our revolutionary new Skid-A-Lot pants, now available. Get your supplies soon. Now available in brown and beige for the specially runny ones.
I need to get some of those.
Now you're getting that age, mate.
Yeah. You're listening to Back in the Day Nostalgic 90s. You can contact the show on Spotify in the comment section. That's our favourite. But also you can email the show stitchanddean@gmail.com. People say they can't get it to work, but I'm pretty sure it does. We've been receiving any emails, as we will hear later. And also our Instagram page, Back in the Day Nostalgic 90s. You can send us direct messages that way and comment on our posts.
You're right. Friend of the pod from Word Go. I think they commented before as a team. Sam and Mel told us about Radio 1 shows. I think they might have even been there with one of the members of the podding cast. They are friends of the podcast, but we are trying to discontinue this activity on WhatsApp, especially when it's a spoken message. But it was sent with love, so we don't mind. They mentioned while they were on their camping holiday having a cup of tea looking at the sea, they were listening to our radio roadshow one, which they were involved in, and told about the stereos. He had a Metro 1.4, which he borrowed off his mother, and he was wondering whether to upgrade with alloys, there you go, pimp my car, or a stereo. He plumped for a new stereo. Couldn't remember the name of it, though. When you've got the stereo, you need to have speakers. He put speakers in the back. You probably remember this, Dean. You put speakers in the back, and the speakers are too heavy, so it makes the back shelf bow, yes? So he put some MFD. You're a timber merchant. MFD board.
Oh, medium density fibre board, MDF.
Yes. Yeah, put that in it. So it sounded good and was solid as a rock. JVC speakers. Then he stuck some ones in the side door, but because they was a DIY job, when you open and close the door, sometimes the wires get caught in the door or get cut off. And one of the first banging tunes he heard was Feeder, Piece by Piece. This wasn't a 90s stories, but we'll let you off. He's a 2000 boy. But thank you, friends of the pod, Sam and Mel.
Yes, that's another Metro guy. We had a Metro story before, didn't we? I think that was Dawn. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was a funny little thing, wasn't it? The Metro.
Yeah, they still exist though, don't they?
Still see, well, only vintage one. They don't make them, but
right.
occasionally see one or two around. But tiny little things.
Yeah.
I reckon if they probably get through the Eurozone, the congestion zone in London quite easily. They'd just be recognised as a kitchen appliance, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Dinky little things.
Yeah, we'll let that kettle go on. Yeah, my sister lives in London and she always has to swap cars with my father to get past the congestion charge and all that sort of madness.
Yeah. ULEZ.
Isn't it?
Yes. Anyway, I've got some comments.
Right.
An email to read out. Yeah. Should we go Instagram?
Yeah. Thank you, Instagram listeners.
Yes. Nevi Nevster. I'm guessing he's called Nev. He contacted the show in response to one of our Instagram reels about our first cars, and he says my first car, was an 850 Mini. Got me to Carnavus and back numerous times. Good
Carnivorous.
old days. Carnavus. Is that Cornwall?
Is it Cornwall or
Carnavus.
Wales? Carnivorous. Yeah, that's
Carnavus.
camping. That's
Yeah.
camping territory. That's another show.
Lovely. And I have an email. Someone has emailed stitchanddean@gmail.com and got it to work. And this is Omar McAlpine. And he says this. This is about his Capris. He had 3 Ford Capris. So he says, I had 3 Capris in the late 90s. All of them were used for carting my drum kit around the UK. The 2 most notorious ones are as follows. A 1976 S, battered, in red, and with one panel that I sanded down and painted in grey, then primer. I was approaching Harrow Town Centre main roundabout with traffic lights on a busy Saturday and put my foot on the brake and nothing happened. So I had no choice but to swerve into the roundabout, dodge a few oncoming cars, and keep going through red lights until I found a side road and let the car roll to a halt. The RAC guy asked if I had been doing handbrake turns, as the handbrake cable had sliced through the brake oil pipes. Now, the second notorious one was post-college. A black 1987 Turbo Technics Special. I drove from Uxbridge to Newquay in 3 hours 30 minutes. I left at 6 a.m., then drove back. I later tried to start the car in a car park next to Wembley Stadium, and the Capri exploded into a fireball. A nearby tree burnt down, and after I escaped, I had to wake up a guy having a nap in the car next to mine. He started it up and hit reverse without even looking behind him. The fireman said the injectors had somehow come loose.
Brilliant. Destroy your
Oh,
motor.
yeah.
All Capris as well, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know if it was a bit of a theme with Capris.
Right.
They had a bit of a reputation for being easy to roll. I don't know if that was true or not.
I used to love
But
Dave D's Capri. They looked really good. They had the real long nose, didn't they? They looked cool.
they look the part. Yeah, I know a bloke in Frome. He's a collector. He's got about 30 of them, I think.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
people
that.
who,
Yeah, I wouldn't be that
yeah,
enthusiastic.
no, some people really love them, don't they?
Uh,
But I never had one. I think the only one I ever went in was Dave D's, just the once.
yeah. Really? Only once? No, I loved it. It felt like a racing
Yeah.
car. Like it was really low on the ground. Sounded good. Yeah. There we go. So we have some listeners, despite what you're thinking. Thank you for that. I've had a near miss as well, not actually an accident. This was on the Westbury to Warminster Road before they put the bypass in, and I was with a guy called Pete, who's still there, Pete B, and he was driving. It was something very small, and he was driving and talking. You know when you drive and you talk, and you get distracted. There was a turning in front of us, and all the cars had stopped because there was someone in front of them taking a turn to Sutton Venie, I think. The Sutton Venie turning on the right, and he was just bombing along very fast towards these parked cars wanting to turn. And I was when you get petrified, you think, blinking heck, we're going to crash. And all I did was I made this noise, went ee! Like a braking noise. And he understood me. He went, oh, and then braked. And but we didn't brake in time. He had to curb it, go around the outside, and then we just kept on going. But without the noise, we would have reared him right quick.
Yeah, the noise definitely helped, didn't it?
It did, yeah. But you know when you're scared well, I don't know whether you've been that scared. When you're scared and you can't make a noise, you can't speak. I should have said, Uncle Pete, I think there's a car in front of us and we are going at a velocity that may be impactful. But no, did the trick.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a bit of a near miss,
Near
actually. I
miss.
was driving from Frome to Warminster, and when you do that, you drive past Longleat Estate.
Mm,
So,
mm, mm.
lines of Longleat. For listeners are wondering where it is, and yeah, it was just down from Longleat. There was a car coming towards me, clipped the grass verge, and it set him into a cartwheel. It was I think a Peugeot 306, and this Peugeot was cartwheeling towards me, directly towards me, and clouds of dust and smoke everywhere. It didn't set on fire, and anyway, I had to swerve to avoid getting hit by him, and he just carried on cartwheeling past me. And I just pulled to a halt, and the shock of it, I just sat there. I must have looked like one of these NPCs, what just like one of the on a computer game and one of these non-playing characters. I was just frozen there doing nothing.
Mm.
Anyway, I eventually got out of the car and I got to him and he was crawling out of the car and I said, "You're right," and he said, "Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, no problem." And oh. Anyway, I did the traffic control. He was an absolute meathead of a bloke. I did the traffic control, stopping the cars and then trying to get them going again, the traffic flow. And when the police turned up, they eventually got him to admit that he was lighting a fag,
Right.
and then went into the grass verge. So there's your lesson, listeners. Don't light a fag when you're driving,
No.
especially where we live.
Don't, yeah, keep away from Dilton Marsh, Westbury, and Wiltshire when you're lighting your fag. I've got written down here stopped and stopped. There's two different ways of being stopped. One of them was stopped as in your car won't go, so that's why I brought the mallet with me. This was when I had my dad's whatever it is,
Montego. Yeah.
Montego, and it would, if you went and got the petrol, the cat's in the background, it would stop. So you have to open the bonnet and whack it with a hammer, then it would start up again. But the other stops were by the Roz or the Fuzz. Have you ever been stopped by them?
Yes, I have. Yeah, there was this one time in the early 90s where I went to see I went to see a film. I can't remember where. I went to see a film with another lad,
Right.
and it was a late night film. And anyway, I didn't get back until after 1 o'clock in the morning, and I I just got stopped by the police. They just wondered what on earth I was doing driving around at that time of night. The sort of thing, people, they'd let it go now, but back in the day, the police liked to know what was going on when people were driving around at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And so I didn't have anything wrong with the car at all. And I just said, "Oh, I've just been to see a film. Yeah, it's a bit of a late showing." And they asked me what film it was. And I told them, and it was a bit embarrassing. It was a film we shouldn't have really been
Watching.
watching.
Right.
The sort of film I definitely would not watch now.
Right.
But yes, but yeah, so I got stopped for no real reason then. Yeah. And there was just one other time I got stopped. I was in the Volkswagen Derby,
Mm.
the little beauty that was the Derby, and
Oh.
I had one of my headlights was out,
Ah.
side light still working, but the headlight gone. Yeah, so yeah, the police were in my rear view mirror. Quite, I could see them in the distance, and didn't have blue lights on.
Mm.
And so I put me foot down just to try and get up the road. But yeah, in a flash yeah, they were on me and pulled me over. So I had to go to Trowbridge and get me light replaced, and yeah, had to go and prove that it had been done. That was annoying.
They must be so bored sometimes. I got
Yeah.
stopped, and I can't remember which one it is. I got stopped a few times, and I think it was the time when I went through an orange light on my way to my window cleaning round because I had my bucket in my ladder and I didn't want to spill it. So it was orange, and I thought if I stop, the water's going to go everywhere. So I'm going to cruise on through. And the cops pulled me over. And you know, they'd say, "Can you wind your window down?" and stuff like that. And he said, "Do you know why I've stopped you?" And I looked at him and I said, "Are you having a laugh?" And you know, sometimes they when they're going to nick you or take points off you, they write stuff down, and he actually wrote it down. Because I said it was orange, and he said, "I can prove to you it was red." And I'd sit in his car and see the video of it, because he'd videoed it, and it was still so orange, but I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. But "Are you having a laugh?" was written in his book. There you go.
Oh, do you remember another what Wayne Tetley's dad?
Yeah.
He got pulled over once. Apparently, he was a bit of a character, and he got pulled over once, and the police got him to wind down the window, and they said, something like, "Do you know how fast you were driving, sir?" And Tetley's daddy just said, he looked at his watch and said 5:30, and then drove off, as if a copper had just been asking for time.
Brilliant. A little bit Mark and Lard-esque, isn't it? Yeah. Another time I was in a cop shop giving my details. This was quite funny. And you know when they've got the CB radios in the background, and my surname is quite distinctive. And I heard my dad's name, the full name, being over the CB radio. Right, we've got this bloke, his name. What do you want to do with him, officer? Right, I'll be over soon. And it like I was giving my details, and I thought, "Oh, blinking heck, what's Dad doing?" But it couldn't have been Dad, because I knew where Dad was. But to hear a second one with the exact same name being done in a cop shop was funny. But the mistake I made, because it was so amazing, because I was in London at the time, when I went back to visit the parents, I said, "Oh, I heard your voice. I heard your name called out." He said, "Where were you?" And I said, "In a cop shop." "What were you doing in there, son?" Yeah, so that didn't go down well. We could go on for hours, Dean. There's also the story of me reversing over a cop, but that will be for another story, and going to motoring for bad motorists, and the way my cousin used to drive, when he used to drive down the main road and do handbrake turns in the laybys and be facing back the other way. But we'll have to talk about that another day. Smash, crash, stopped and nicked. Makes me a bit thirsty after all that work we've been doing and all the spilling the beans. I think I'm going to have... What am I going to have? What goes with spilling the beans?
Spilling the beans, it will have to be... How about the king of beers, a Budweiser?
Yes, it's getting summertime.
Oh,
Budweiser and a packet of peanuts.
yes.
What have you got for us, Dean?
Yeah, well, I'm going to have one of those new bourbon biscuits. Not very 90s, but now they do them that are covered in about 6 millimeters of chocolate all the way round. And then I'll have a catastrophic sugar rush. But that's it on this bonus episode of Back in the Day. Thank you for listening to two men who peaked in the 90s and have been coasting downhill ever since. We'll be back soon with more memories, more questionable decisions, and more stories that make you think, how did these two Muppets even survive the 90s?
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please download, comment, and tell a friend.